Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Happy New Year, and we can go ahead and call the meeting to order as it is now 5 p.m. The first item on the agenda is, of course, the Pledge of Allegiance, so if everyone would please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Of course, next item is the approval of the agenda itself, and I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I put forth a motion to approve the agenda as it presented.
Second.
Motion and second have been made. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is, of course, our public comments. Speakers will be given a 5-minute maximum time limit to speak before the Board of Elections about various topics, issues, and concerns. Speakers must direct their comments to the board, and responses are reserved at the direction of the board. So I would see if there's any public comments. Please come up to the podium now and state your name, where you're from, and please begin your comments.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Shane. I'm here representing Southern Crescent Indivisible. We are a 360-member strong organization located out of Fayetteville. We actually service 9 counties south of Atlanta, and making sure that we can promote and maintain our democracy. I have some questions today. I know this is not an interactive type of thing, but maybe you can respond at a different date or different time. The first one is regarding the polling place changes, and I understand that I've been lucky. Mine has been the same forever. But when you make a change like that because of an unavailable facility, I wonder how you advertise that. I know that you've got a couple of them listed in your website, 2 of the 4 that you're going to talk about today. But I don't know what you do to make that extra effort to make people know they don't show up at the wrong place that they've been going to for years. And so how you communicate that would be of interest. There is another issue, and that's Sunday voting. This is a strong recommendation from our organization that what we want to do is make sure people have the opportunity to vote. As many are not available during working time and not available on Saturdays, so I encourage you to do Sunday voting. Last I checked last week, you still have not made that decision, and so I'm really hoping that you will continue and have at least one of those 2 Sundays for Sunday voting. The last issue I'll talk about is voter identification cards. Voter identification cards.
Okay.
This is an issue, again, that's very important for people who don't have the typical information to vote. And as you know, it is one of the places that people can go is to their local elections board. Your machine has been broken for a very long time. And at this point, from what we've heard from staff, there's no plan to fix it at this point. So people have to go to DDS to get their voter card, which is the other space that's available. We just want to make sure that the voter identification machine that you have is working so that people know when they look at the website from the state, you and DDS are the 2 places to go to get that card. We have conducted a survey of 6 of our counties in this area. They all have their machines working, and Fayette is an example now. Maybe that's changed in the last week or not, I don't know. But we encourage you to take action on that. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any additional comments from anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to any items of old business. We do not have any today. And the next item is, of course, the approval of our previous special called meeting minutes from November 7th, 2025, and I would be happy to accept an motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented for the November the 7th, 3:00 p.m. meeting.
A second.
Motion and second been made. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Next item is, again, the approval of the November 7th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. That would have been at 5 p.m., just 2 hours after our 3 o'clock meeting. I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the agenda for November the 7th at 5 p.m. Not the agenda, but the minutes
I
of the
second.
November the 7th, 5 p.m. meeting.
Second.
Motion and second been made. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will go ahead and call the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Next item is our new business. Our only item of new business here today is the adoption of our 2026 meeting schedule. Generally, we do have these meetings on the fourth Tuesday of every month, 5 p.m. The only times generally that we would have exceptions to that is for election certification, usually on the Friday immediately after that Tuesday election. So I would recognize Director Brianna Garrett, our elections director, to discuss a little further on our schedule.
Greetings, Board. So unbeknownst to me going through the packet, you all were supposed to have a actual list of the calendar inside of your packet. I did include it in the email, but I guess the question, or leave it up to you, is if you want to decide on that now, or did you want to wait until our next board meeting to pass a motion on that calendar? Because we do have enough time. We're really just looking at our election dates and the changes in those when it's time for certifications.
I don't remember.
We can wait.
I think I prefer to wait. I think we've
Yeah, I
got
got
the
no problem with that.
special election calendar, right, that we could look at?
Yes, so it's a date for the rest of the year. We kind of go ahead and set our date. So normally, we already have in writing that we meet the fourth Tuesday of every month. But for those certification dates during the election season, we usually meet that Friday, and we just go ahead and knock that out at the beginning of the year to save us time later on for establishing that time and date.
Yeah, I mean, I can mention a little bit about that. So, of course, the one other piece to our determining the calendar of our election dates is, according to the statute, it says that we have until, I believe, Monday at 5 p.m. So that would be 6 days following that Tuesday election, Monday at 5 p.m. to certify. Generally, we've maintained our certification meetings on Fridays immediately after the Tuesday election, so it would be before the weekend, before that Monday. Just because we've had issues, technical issues, power going out, it's really just to make sure that we don't brush up against the clock there, and make sure we do meet our statutory requirements, free and clear of any issues there. So that's why we've had it on Friday, leading up to now. I see more challenges by moving it to Monday, because we would be brushing up against the clock, and we have had power outages. I think in 2024 there was an instance, or 2025 there was an instance where the power went out, and so we could not actually conduct a meeting as we normally should, which then would result in us not certifying the election on time and not meeting our statutory requirements. So that's where we are on the Monday situation. That's where we've had this discussion a few times before. I'd be open to discussing it some more. If you have other benefits or pros and cons, absolutely, I'm here for them.
Okay,
Mhm.
can I?
Yeah.
Okay. My concern is that there are a number of well, first of all, there are a number of counties, big ones, that all go to Monday, all right? Not saying that that makes it right, but to me, they're giving themselves the opportunity that if they have any issues, we still, at this point, we get whatever numbers and information, we still have to meet at 3. But it gives you a little bit more time, once you've got the numbers, et cetera, like that, to go through and continue reviewing and making sure that when we vote on the certification, that we're confirmed that it's right. There's also a big push, has been for the last 2 years, to be asking for a lot more information to be given to us at 3. I think in the past, I'm about the only one that's gone over and looked at whatever Brianna could easily, let's put it that way. I try not to ask for anything that is a push to be ready at 3 to look at. But, maybe we've got an hour or two, something like that, to get stuff together, us to go over and look at. I just think we need more time with all the pressure that's going on right now for asking for more information. Maybe we'll get it at 3, but I don't know that we'd have time to do too much review. And I know that there are constant laws, legislation that's coming up that's saying that we're going to be given a lot more information than we have in the past, if that goes through. That's my concern. I just want us to have the time, and them to have the time, to get this stuff together.
Yeah, I understand that completely. I think generally having that 72 hours between the Tuesday and the Friday offers enough time to look at ballot recap sheets, to look at all the tabulation reports, to go through all the documents. I mean, 3 days really is enough time to get through that. And also, again, I do not want to put us in any danger whatsoever of breaking any statutes or breaking any laws. So keeping it on that Friday is generally, like, I think it's the best balance. Now, I understand that, there is a great deal more information coming down. There has been that push. But generally, the only times that those forms would prompt further investigation would be with staff in, conducting their duties. We can look at the forms and make sure all the numbers line up, but matching numbers I don't think necessarily would take an extra 2 days at that point. And again, the statute is the statute, and we can't go past 5 p.m. on Monday. So even if we had 3 p.m., there's still the issue of the meeting logistics, right? I mean, if the power goes out at 2 p.m. on the Monday and we're supposed to meet at 3, that's difficult for us. Then our back is against the wall, and we have really painted ourselves into a corner to break that statute. So generally, I think it's been the opinion of this board, and we've had this discussion a number of times, that keeping it on Friday is the best logistical decision that gives staff the best flexibility as far as how they can operate, as well as protects us from ever approaching breaking any laws, or federal or state-wise. That's where I am on it. I respect your position completely, but I think logistically the challenge is, the solution is almost presenting, in some cases, a bigger problem than the problem that we have a current solution for. So Director Garrett, I would ask your opinion on the Friday or Monday situation, but as of right now, of course, we do have the meeting calendar that we could look at the February meeting, so we could, go ahead and punt this discussion to that meeting if need be.
So as far as the 3 o'clock meeting time, as Board Chair Alexander has mentioned, Vice Chair Alexander has mentioned earlier, she does come over, she does review the paperwork. I don't see, there's never been a need presented for more time to review the paperwork. The only reason that we're waiting until 5 for our certification is because of that provisional deadline. Anything outside of that, I actually agree with going ahead and staying with our Friday, because we don't want to put ourselves in a position to have to do an emergency meeting or not meet that deadline on Monday. Now, if we find something when we're doing our reviews and canvassing, then yes, I will come to the board and talk with Attorney Stowe and ask him, hey, we need more time to look at our numbers and to look at further paperwork. I have no problem presenting that if that comes up. But at this time, for this county in particular, I don't see a need to push it out any further unless something is found that is wrong, which I have no problem reporting. I think I'm pretty good with communication with you guys.
But we all absolutely do want the same things. We all want the exact same things. We want to have fair elections, we want to have free elections, we want to have elections that we can all be proud of their integrity. I mean, so it's just how we get there, right? As far as what we do, as far as how we operate, the change would not be great. It's just preventing any future instance of us painting ourselves in a corner. But
I would ask if Brianna could look and see how many times we've actually had a glitch that would have given us a problem from going to Monday. I don't think we've had more than one in a number of years.
Well,
if that.
I do know we did have one, at least in the time, I think right before we came on the board. I guess that would have been the
December
instance.
23.
23, yeah. So there is an instance, there is a case from the past few years that we can turn to, but,
That's not many compared to the elections we've had, like 24, 25.
May I ask a question? What would we do between 5 and the Monday to prepare for the board meeting? Like, what do you foresee taking place in that time space?
Well, as I understand it, the 3 p.m. deadline is, in other counties, it's just when you have to present the information that they've requested. And then they take the time, those that go to Monday, and they don't all wait till 5 p.m., right? But they take that information that you, quote unquote, have to present to the board at 3, and they carry over, and they actually, that's when they look at it, is Saturday, Sunday into Monday, is when they look at it.
They is in the office, the staff.
They
The
what?
staff or the board
The board,
is who looks at it over
The board.
that time.
because they're the ones that have to certify.
Understood. And
So-
only, the question comes because in Fayette County's office, I can't speak for any other office. I'm very adamant about giving them enough time to gather the documents that you request, even more so making sure that it's right, because I know as we are under scrutiny, we have to make sure that we cross our Ts and dot our Is, or that I have an answer for any mistakes that are made. So most of that is done by 3 o'clock, so that's where my question came from. And
And-
also let the record reflect that I, in fact, did not send you the calendar. That's why it wasn't in your packet by the staff, so my apologies. I will get that out to you as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so with that, I guess we can go ahead and punt that to our next meeting.
Yeah.
I guess we have that as an item of new business, so I guess I would accept a motion to table that item until the February meeting.
I'll make the motion. We
Motion.
table the discussion to our February meeting.
Okay.
And I'll second it.
Motion and second been made. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor of tabling the approval of the 2026 board meeting calendar to the February meeting signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. This brings us to our main large item of business for the day. Of course, it is the public hearings of, still one little brief thing that box to check beforehand. Director Garrett, is there any necessary board action as far as the public hearings of staff challenges to remove registered Fayette County voters from the electors list who are registered in the state of Georgia's Secretary of State voter registration system as deceased, mentally incompetent, canceled, or felon, as well as precinct and or polling changes? I know we'd have 4 hearings on the polling changes, but as far as any cancellations, do we need any action there? And could you also give us those numbers, please?
There are no actions to be taken or no hearings to be held for cancellation. However, to report to the board our numbers. For our deceased, we have 131 voters that were removed since the last November meeting. For our felons, we have 5. And for our cancellations, we have 31. And all of those are for out of state for this selection. That is a total of 167. And I do not mind repeating it. So for our deceased, we have 131. For our felons, we have 5. And for our cancellations, we have 31, which totals up to 167.
And so that would be 0 mentally incompetent?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Well, with that, seeing no action needed, I guess we can go into the whole kit and caboodle and take on these polling location proposals. So Director Garrett, if you wouldn't mind briefing us a little bit on what we see in front of us and what we're looking at doing for our Fayette County voters. We got 4 proposals. I think we'll probably take action on 3 of them, given our prior discussions. But please, just let us know what's going on here.
Absolutely. So for proposal number 2026-01, Morning Creek, this is a location to move Morning Creek polling location, which is currently at New Hope Baptist Church, to number 28, which is Oak Ridge, located at Fayette Friendship Community Church. Back in November, we were notified in October that the church had closed, so we had to do an emergency polling location, and the church is still in the same status. We did do an emergency co-location, so this will just bring us up to stature to be able to keep it as a co-locating facility. I do want to back up with my disclaimer before we go through these. And I did talk to Chair Livesey last week about this. But on some of these, you will have merger versus co-locating. Originally, it didn't make sense to do a co-location, so for the public. Co-location is when we have 2 precincts at one location and they're just ran side by side, rather a shared large room or in 2 separate rooms, but it's literally 2 separate precincts ran at this one polling location. And we have a few of those, and we had some emergencies where we've had to have those. It didn't make sense at first logistically thinking to just continue doing the co-locating. However, with us having which I was going to announce later on, but with us having a new registrar in our office, as well as our workload that is going on, Merging takes a little more inside of our software, inside of our database, actually moving the voters and moving lines and considering boundaries. I think it's better that we stick to co-locating for now, especially before such a large election. What I don't want to is confuse anyone, and I don't want our ballot building to confuse anyone as well. So if you know anything about the internal work for us, we have to use ballot combo codes. We currently have, I think, 77. We'll have to move voters to assign to that ballot as well. And I don't think that the office is in a position to take on such a venture cleanly, as you all are always watching us, to be able to take on such a venture right now. So I think it's better if for the 2026 election, especially such a big election, that we don't take too many risks right now, and that we only do co-locations instead of mergers. So back to proposal number 1, because this will now answer the question is, why are you not just putting it together? Well, that's why. I don't want to bombard our new registrar with such a heavy task as he's getting acclimated to the office, and then the state is already building our ballot and working on our projects, which I'm impressed because now we get to catch things ahead of time and we get a chance to make sure that things are accurate. So with that being said, we would like to continue co-location of Morning Creek and Oak Ridge at the Fayette Friendship Community Church. And that is, for the record, a combined number of 5,102 registered voters. For election day turnout at both locations, it was under a 20%. I'm sorry, that's in 2022. For 2025, it was under a 22% turnout for both locations. And advanced voting is becoming very popular, so I don't foresee that being a problem as far as being able to take on so many voters for this location. And in our bigger elections, our county administrator grants us the ability to be able to provide more staffing as long as I can show that it's needed, which actually has been a great support lately in the last couple of elections. So I don't foresee a problem with being able to achieve that. Any questions for me about this proposal in particular? Because we have to do
Just
it.
asked a quick logistical
Okay.
question for our meeting. Do we need to have public comments for each proposal individually or all at once?
You should probably handle each separately, to the extent you're going to have public comments.
Fair enough. Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Director Garrett?
Yeah. I'm surprised. I guess I didn't realize, but because we had a great turnout for the November Election Day 2024. Granted, it was less because we had advanced voting so high, but I guess I didn't remember that we had this low a turnout on Election Day in these two precincts. That's surprising to me.
Are these municipal precincts at all?
No, we're talking
No.
24, which is the
Oh,
presidential.
24, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. We knew 25 was going to be low. It was higher than we thought. But I'm looking at the presidential. That surprised me.
And I'm sure it's because of the advanced voting being such a quicker process with the new printers. It seems to be getting popular. For instance, in that same election, we had 58,000 approximate voters for advanced voting versus 12,000 on election day. So
And isn't there something somewhere about you weren't supposed to exceed 6,000? But I think that's per precinct. Is that right? Do you remember that?
I don't remember what the number is, but we're not changing the precinct. We're only co-locating. So everything will be separate and
Got it.
there's an adequate space.
Okay,
So we're
that
not.
makes sense.
yeah.
Thank you.
And I will point out that since this is moving the polling place out of the precinct for Morning Creek, we did have to meet a 90-day, that we couldn't do this within 90 days of the election. So we are outside of that now, so that's why we're doing it now.
So we have to make a decision today for this one.
All right, thank you.
Any questions?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, I'll say I'm quite familiar with this precinct and this situation. The November election, we, of course, had that difficulty in communication, which resulted in us having to do an emergency change there at the last minute right before the November 2025 election. So I'm very glad we can go ahead and get this resolved. And this really is the most equitable solution that we can provide, considering that our location that we've used for some time is no longer going to, be there. that necessitates us to try and minimize impact to the voters, maximize the convenience, and make sure that everybody can have their voice heard and their vote counted. I think in looking at this proposal, the new location, where these two precincts would be co-located, it's only about a 4-minute drive or so from the first precinct?
If not less, yes.
Okay, so that is really one of the biggest pillars that staff tries to focus on, is maintaining voter access, maintaining voter convenience, and, minimizing the impact to our elections and our voters. So with that, I guess we can go ahead and turn it over to the public comments on this proposal. I believe we're approaching the same policy that we have for other public comments, maximum of 5 minutes before the Board of Elections about the polling location proposal 2026-01. That's Morning Creek, moving from the New Hope Baptist Church to be co-located at Fayette Friendship Community Church. Please state your name again.
I'm Michael Shane, representing Southern Crescent Indivisible. I'm not going to do this at each of your hearings here, but in case there is a separation between public comment for this particular issue and my comments at the beginning of the meeting, I just wanted to really encourage you to promote this change. The worst thing to happen is have somebody show up at their old polling place, find out it's moved even 4 minutes, and many people will say, well, I'll just forget it this time. So the fact that you don't have all these locations on your website, only have a couple of them, somehow carrying forward these changes in a very public way. I know you probably can't contact the voters, but even yard sign in front of the old polling place or something to make sure that people know in advance that there is a changing would be helpful. Thank you.
I'll briefly respond to that, because that point is exactly what we try and focus on here at the Elections Office. Election Day 2025 in November, I was out there in the wind whipping, cold, taping. I had a ream of copy paper, I had an Expo marker, and some Scotch tape. And you just do the best with what you got, really, and try and preempt any problems as they arise. So absolutely, the biggest thing is maintaining convenience to the voter, as much public contact as we can get, whether it be through our social media channels, whether it be maintaining our website in a proper manner. We did just update our website in the past couple weeks, so moving everything over is, still an ongoing task. But absolutely, that is what we're focused on in this situation and generally as well. Director Garrett, is there anything you wanted to add?
Yes, definitely for this new website, we're still trying to work our way through it, but we did have all 4 notices, but this morning it was brought to our attention that only 2 appears on our main page, but when you click see notices, you can see the rest. So now we're going to work on how we can make sure that all 4 are visible and that you don't have to click another button to go to it. Just got it, so please bear with us. Also, Chair Lizzie is exactly right. In 2025, we have to put up signage by law, and I'll make sure that's done. However, I did not consider how large that polling location was, so there were a couple of emails that went back and forth, and I publicly apologize for that because you're in the audience. But we will definitely go out our way to make sure that we have additional signage on top of that as well going forward, because I did see how the voters did not know where to go with such a large vicinity. So we did try to do what we could, and thank you very much, Board Chair, for supporting me in that and coming out in the wind and trying to tackle that feat at such a last minute. So I will acknowledge that. But also, when we change a poll location by law, we have to send them notifications as well. So we have to go into our database and send those special cards out on top of that. And then we do put it on our website. We're gonna make sure we find a colorful place, but we're still working that out, right, Kyle? And as well as our social media. So just to cover those bases.
Thank you, Director Garrett. Any further comments on this polling location proposal, Morning Creek?
I was going to ask if there's any other suggestions that you think we should consider for getting the word out, or is it just doing it earlier?
Yeah, we always welcome feedback. This is a collaborative role that we have. It is an extremely important responsibility that we have as a board and as, elections officials. So any feedback that anyone ever has, I think that we try and be very easy to get in contact with. You can reach out to any of our emails that are there on the website. We've got our phone numbers listed, as well as very, very kind, knowledgeable election staff who can help with any of that. And we really do welcome the feedback. And I actually really welcome the great turnout that we have here at this meeting today.
Yeah,
Generally, it's much, much smaller than
absolutely.
that, so thank you all for coming out.
I agree.
Any further comments on the first proposal? Not seeing any? Okay. With that, I guess we can go ahead and close public comments on proposal number 1. And with that, if Director Garrett, you don't have anything else, I guess we could proceed to a vote. Okay.
I would recommend you go, I would recommend you go ahead and have a vote on this one.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to proceed. So with that, I guess we can go ahead and call the vote of polling location proposal number 2026-01. That's the Morning Creek location, and I would accept a motion.
I put forth a motion to approve the changes as presented in 2026-01.
Second.
Motion and a second have been made. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. This brings us to our second proposal, which is, of course, one we've been dealing with for quite some time now, is the Braylon Elementary precinct. If y'all have ever had any kids, grandkids, or that go to Braylon, or you happen to be a poll worker there or go to vote there, that's your precinct, you notice that the school itself is open, a little more open. The hallways have direct access to the remainder of the school, so it is a bit of a safety issue on Election Day if you have children there to have voting conducted there. So, as we've gone throughout this issue trying to solve this, we've been looking at Oak Grove. I think it was first a co-location, and then this one is looking at the potential merger. I would go ahead and invite Director Garrett to explain a little more about the situation.
So, to piggyback about earlier not going forward with merging, so this one is already currently co-located at Oak Grove Elementary School. I'm thinking that, so, because we have another one like this, where I didn't want to do a cancellation at such late notice, so I still wanted to bring it to the board's attention. So this still falls under having to do a merge in our database and having a registrar that just started yesterday, along with other moving parts that we'll talk about later on inside of our office. So actually, my recommendation is to not move forward with this merger for right now.
Absolutely. So just another piece about that. As Director Garrett said, canceling this hearing would be more logistically challenging than just going ahead and voting it down. The real logistical challenge is the combo codes that Director Garrett has mentioned. If you live in one state house district and your neighbor lives in one state house district, you and your neighbor could be in different state senate districts, for instance. And so that is what necessitates having different combo codes which recognize the voter and what the proper races they should be voting for when they go in to the polls. So that is a massive amount of work for a very smart and capable but small staff that we have. So I think going ahead to keep our current status quo where we have these precincts co-located there at the Oak Grove Elementary School is absolutely the best course of action. So with that, I guess we could, any further questions from the board about this one?
I just wanted to ask a question. We had a fairly smooth, we did this co-location for the November election, and I don't recall that we had any issues, right? I mean,
No.
it was pretty clean. It's a big gym, and I just, people always have questions about, well, are they lined up, side by side? Is one in one corner and one in the opposite corner? I don't remember how we put those, the two precincts in that gym, but don't we have somebody there that kind of leads them? Are you here?
Yes, we have two separate sets of staff as well. So we do not merge the staff. When you
Right.
come in, you either go to the left or to the right, depending on which precinct you're
Right,
located in.
and you've got somebody there directing them.
Correct.
Okay, I think that's great. Thank you.
Any further questions for the board? No? Okay, with that, I can go ahead and open it up to public comments. Again, same deal around this time, 5-minute maximum time limit to speak on the polling location proposal. That's 2026-02. That's the Braylon to Oak Grove.
Do we really have one?
I don't see any public comments, so with that.
No, I mean, do we really have a proposal? We're basically keeping it the same. 'cause
Yeah,
We're
we're-
not doing the merger.
We're just voting it down.
Yeah, I think what your action would be to not do the merger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, I guess I could accept close public comments and accept a motion to decline to proceed with the merger between number 22, Braylon Precinct number 22, and Oak Grove Precinct number 17.
Motion so moved.
Second.
Motion and a second have been made. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I can call the vote. All in favor of declining to proceed with 2026-02 signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Okay, I think we got a similar situation here again, too. Another proposal here, the 2026-03, which is the Stars Mill precinct. And I can go ahead and turn it over to Director Garrett to explain a little bit about this situation.
Yes, so this one is more staff-led, AKA director-led. We constantly, Stars Mill is currently located at one church, and they love us, we love them, they support the democracy. However, I'm starting to see a pattern of when they have their summer camps or when they have other events going on where they're not available. So we have gotten better at these polling location reservations early on, and we started back in October trying to secure our facilities for this year. And what we're finding is that they're available for May, but they're not available for the summer. And we already have the signage ready for the emergency location change, but I'm trying to get ahead of that because what I don't want to do is to continue to keep sending voters here, then sending them there, then sending them here. So we're trying to find a suitable facility. So far, we actually haven't received or found a place inside of the precinct. So now we started to reach outside of the precinct. The proposal is currently worded for moving one church to Lisbon Baptist Church. However, after the hearings were announced, they let us know that they're not able to move forward. Their church didn't approve it. So not us. They're just not able to host us as a facility. I don't remember the why, but I just know they weren't available. However, within the facility, within the precinct lines, we do have a church that's possibly available, New Providence. Please don't ask me the rest of it, because before I walked out of my office, I was supposed to write down their address. But New Providence Church we're waiting to hear from them. So I am going to ask that you vote it down into our next meeting. But let me be clear that it's within side of the precinct boundary lines, which gives us 60 days. Outside of the precinct boundary lines is 90 days. So we only have one single month to make action on this. But I want to be clear that one church is available for May. If we are not able to secure another location, then now we're tasked with finding somewhere in June for the runoff if we have a runoff. We have used the high school in the past, Whitewater, I believe, in the past, but they've already let us know they're not available. So we're still trying to figure those things out. So right now, I just need to find out if New Providence can support it. If not, I will just provide you an update or send you an email if we have to hold a hearing in February. Because if we can go to New Providence and they say that they're available, then we'll have to have our meeting in February in order to meet that 60-day deadline. All clear? I know that was a lot to take on, but
Yeah.
but one church, like they're available when they're available. But what I don't want to do is keep moving this
Yeah, this is
polling
2 or 3
location.
times that
Yes.
we've had one church and
Yes.
everybody loved it.
We don't
and
even
then-
change the sign anymore. We just change the date on it
Yeah,
because
then we had to go
Yeah.
someplace else. So what are you suggesting that this should read?
right
Should we
now,
postpone?
yes. Well,
Well, the proposal is currently to move it to Lisbon, and that isn't going to be the proposal
Okay.
next time. So I think at this point you would need to deny this proposal because we're going to have to re-advertise for if we do a new location anyway.
Okay, any further questions on this one?
Okay, I'm a little confused here. Did Lisbon vote it down as a voting precinct?
all I know is that they're not available to serve as a polling location. So they did inform us they would look into it, they would try their best, they believed they could, and then they reached back out to our election supervisor and said, I'm sorry, we're not available.
So it's not a possibility to be a,
According to them, no.
Oh.
But they are within the precinct boundary line, so it would be perfect, it would be
Okay.
great. So if you know something.
that's my question. I couldn't keep up with all that was
No,
going
not
on.
at all. I mean, yeah, we do. Our goal throughout all of these proposals is to get to that place of consistency and no confusion.
Absolutely.
There is these growing pains that we have to proceed through in order to get to an easier, more convenient state. And so as we're going through this, we appreciate your support, and we really do operate in good faith, and we are trying to balance all the competing interests and all the competing responsibilities that we have as election officials. So on this one, I guess we can go ahead and turn it over to public comments. Again, same deal, 5-minute maximum time limit to speak about polling location proposal number 2026-03. That's the Stars Mill polling place. And if there's any public comments, please feel free to approach the podium. Okay, seeing none, I guess we can go ahead and proceed to the vote. I would accept a motion to decline to proceed with polling location proposal 2026-03, and I would accept a motion.
I present a motion to decline the the proposal for 2026-03.
Second.
Motion and second have been made. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, go ahead and call the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's a lot easier to say. Yeah.
I'm going to say as motion. As
Motion
presented.
carries unanimously. It's a mouthful. It's fine. Okay, last but certainly not least, brings us to polling location proposal 2026-04. This is the Flint precinct. So I would go ahead and recognize Director Garrett to give us the rundown on this situation as well.
Last one. So this is a proposal for precinct number 6, McDonough Road Baptist Church. They currently are going through some changes internally with their staff. So they're either going to sell their church, in which they may or may not get a new pastor. So there's no current set leadership in place as they're trying to figure out their transition. So they're not able to fill out a polling reservation form, which is a red flag for us. So in order to make sure that we cover our polling location, I'm asking that we co-locate with precinct number 24 Banks, which actually is a larger facility. We had two. Please don't ask me the other one, but we had two on the table. But Banks seems to be better when it comes to ADA compliance, a larger parking lot, and just more accessible for being able to handle 2 polling locations. And I'll say it at the end. Do you have any questions for me?
I'm gonna, if I understand, the precinct that is, however you say that, Baraka Bible
Baraka.
Church
Yes.
on Corinth Road.
Correct.
If that's the one I'm remembering, you pull in off of Corinth Road if you were going north.
If you flip on the other side, there's a map. So I'm gonna look at it with you.
You expect me to read a map. Okay, so yes, you come in on Corinth Road and you hang a left if you're going north, and you come all the way around down to the back. It's in between those buildings, correct? Yes? Okay, and when you walk in, your location is directly on your left. That room is a small room.
So I have not physically seen it, but the election supervisor did go survey the land and meet with the people and talk about their spaces. So it will not be in this small room of which you speak of. Apparently there's an auditorium of some sort that they'll be using, which is a much larger room.
Okay, so it would be a different place
Yes.
than we've done in the
Yes,
past.
yes.
And is Corinth Road, is that in Jonesboro? I believe it is.
It's in Fayetteville.
I believe it's in Jonesboro. I believe that location, if that's the one I'm
Well,
thinking of.
I think Corinth Road is the county line, pretty close. So if you're on the other side of Corinth, you're in Clayton County.
Right.
But you're on this side of it, you're in Fayette County. And
You're
it
in
might
Fayette.
have a Jonesboro mailing address, but that doesn't, post office don't take any consideration to
Okay, all
county
right.
lines.
Okay, any further questions for the director on this one? No? Okay, I would go ahead and open it up for public comments. Same policy as well for this last one. 5-minute maximum time limit to speak before the board about the polling location proposal number 2026-04. Seeing none, can close the public comments portion for our last polling location proposal. I'd ask Director Garrett if there's anything else you wanted to mention about this case. Okay, well, with that, we can go ahead and proceed to the vote. I would accept a motion to relocate and co-locate the number 6 Flint precinct to the Banks precinct, that's number 24. And I'd accept a motion on that topic.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second have been made. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, so we got through all our hearings there. With that, I can go ahead and turn it over to Director Garrett for her director's report.
Greetings, board. I will try to be as short as I can. As of January 23rd, 2026, Fayette County has 98,604 registered voters in Fayette County. Again, that's 98,604 registered voters in Fayette County. The office has been working through our voter registration audit from the Secretary of State. We actually did an the staff did an exceptionally good job, and I do have to give kudos to our deputy registrar, who has, Jenny, she's in the back, who has been extremely supportive during the vacant position of our registrar. They were able to tackle over 1,000 voters and kind of send out letters to those that flagged in the system or needed some more research. I met with planning and zoning about a lot of voters. The code enforcement for the cities have been very supportive, so I do want to give a really nice shout out to the staff for working through that, especially without a registrar in place. They're awesome. We will be holding poll worker training workshops for this season. I'm actually going to email you the dates because we solidified them this week. We will do 3 workshops of each type. So there will be one for equipment, there will be one for paperwork, and there will be one for my favorite, provisionals. So we will have a total of 9 classes through between April and May, and that's enough to have so it's staggered so that we have a morning, middle of the day, and an evening class, so that we are trying to get as much people to come as possible so that they're prepared for our May 19th election. Our renovations are coming along swiftly. They went from 0 to 100. So last time we talked, they had only knocked down 1 wall, a couple of wirings. We now have doors that are in place. Our suite A and B are connected. There's been painting going on. We're just waiting to solidify some small details and start moving and establishing our alarm system, our cameras, getting our locks in place. I did make a change about 2 weeks ago to remove the sink that's in the place by where the EMS will be. And it's really no usage for it, especially if we're trying to establish a break room outside of the hallway. So the hope is that we can get them to place the sink inside of the new area that's deemed as a break room. Even if not, we just hope to get it away from that area and to be able to use that for ballot storage during the election. That also would give us a little transparency because the public will be able to see absentee and our EMS room at the same time. And then they'll also have access from outside, so we don't have to escort anyone outside to come up with a plan B for those small viewing rooms that we have in the office. Unfortunately, our election supervisor, Johnson, she has resigned, and her last day is tomorrow. She's going on to other election ventures, and we're definitely proud of her and giving her our congratulations as she moves forward. But that also means that I now have a vacancy, a big vacancy in the office with such large elections coming up. But with that, we have our new registrar, Mr. Registrar Unvala, who is back here. He started on yesterday, and he looks tired, and probably because I have been dropping everything on his desk since yesterday at about 10 o'clock. But he comes with 5 years of experience from Douglas County, which is a county that has a lot of their things in order, and he has a lot of experience and knowledge and leadership ideas. So I look forward to what he brings to the county, and him and the staff seem to be evolving very well in this small 46 hours of being together. Also, something that's becoming to be very popular or that we're getting requested is voter registration classes. So I was waiting on this position to be filled before moving forward, but we are going to start hosting a few voter registration classes just to make sure that Fayette County they're ready, very, very, very involved, and we appreciate you, but just making sure that they're educated and equipped with the right information. I think that will help with any kind of misinformation being put out there if we take the lead in making sure that everyone has the codes and the statutes and everything as far as compliance with hosting voter registration drives or even holding voter registration events. Lastly, I do want to talk about, what I was going to summarize with these hearings is that, just so we're clear, and also for the record too, because I don't want anyone to feel like there's a surprise at the end of the year. So last year, Vice Chair Alexander tasked me with the locations for the municipal polling locations versus the county polling locations. And I did ask in the email, we did light research, but I asked in the email if we can hold off on that until 2027. I also considered that too when it came to our co-locating versus merging, etc. So even though we dismissed these, we do have to revisit this and come up with a more permanent plan. And I agree with Vice Chair Alexander that polling locations should only be in one place for a precinct, whether it's the city or not. They should share the same polling location. And what we want to avoid is voters going to one place to vote for the municipal and then the county location at another place. So I do plan on circling back to a bigger look at our map as a whole later on. But I will say it won't be anything quick. So it'll be a couple of series. And our wonderful summer intern, Musa, is already working on it and has an excellent, beautiful PowerPoint presentation on precinct and coding and geocoding. And I look forward to him presenting that to the public so that they can also understand what it is that we're trying to do and what that looks like when it comes to combo codes, precinct layer, boundary lines for the different districts and seats. With that, do you all have any questions for me? I do. Okay.
Of course. I want to go back to, I should have asked it before, to the last month's, it's a general question. November, your director's report, where we had that voting experience of whether you could take a sample ballot, a marked sample ballot,
Correct.
into the BMD, the voting room. And what I heard was that they did not have blank copies of sample ballots, like when you walk in. And I know at Sandy Creek, which is my polling location, when you walk in, yes, there's that big board, that we have all the, what do you call them? All of the
The
flyers
trifold?
and announcements and all that. And we also had, on a table, we had a stack of sample ballots. And when I was a poll worker there, an assistant manager, we would consistently have people that would go in the voting room, pull out their cell phone, and want to see what they wrote down that they wanted to vote for. And I would have to go and say to them, I'm sorry, you have to put your cell phone away. And so they would say, well, how do I know who I want to vote for? And we were told, well, they needed to pick up a sample ballot up front, right, and mark it, and they could take that in. So I was really kind of confused with what was going on with that lady that came and said she had the issue, she couldn't take a marked sample ballot in. Do we have sample ballot stacks that go in every precinct?
We do. And she can go on the MVP and print up her sample ballot and bring it into the polling location and take it to the station. I think in that situation, that there may have been a lack of training and knowledge on the poll manager's end, especially the physical part of it. We just talked about it last week in the office and making sure that we follow up with that and talk with her. But we have to make sure that we have our poll workers and our poll managers stronger so that they do know how to debunk and bring down those de-escalate those situations. Also with that, working closely with April in Margaret's absence, we've already started the process of making sure that we hold our poll workers accountable. But while doing that, also strengthening our triage, and that's our manager and our 2 assistant managers. I know in the past we did a lot of moving, and we did that because we would lose a whole precinct at one time because nobody wanted to work with each other. But I think that we're at a really, really, really good point where we can start laying those foundations at each precinct and just rotating those clerks out so they can get that knowledge and various experiences at the different locations. But yes, they can take their paper sample ballot. They cannot have their phone, so you're correct there. But they can take their paper sample ballot to the polls. But also, they have to be able to show, just like the public wants transparency from us, the voter has to show transparency in showing us what the document is that they're taking to their polling location. Otherwise, it looks like it's something else, and there's always that leaves room for accusation, which we want to make sure we stay away from, right? Woo, yes.
I also was wondering, I know in Sandy Creek, we had a person who was positioned up right as you walked in the door, and it's a long walk down to where you check in, and that's where that board was and the sample ballots, and that person greeted the people when they came in. I just thought it might be a good idea that the announcements to the voters when they come in, being very kind and cordial, to say, please turn off your cell phones, and if you need to, I have a list of who you want to vote for, you can't use your cell phone, here's sample ballots, why don't you fill one out here and you can take it in.
I agree.
Okay,
And also making sure that they have enough sample ballots sent out too.
sure.
Yes.
Okay, now, you said you were going to send out to the board the announcements about the poll worker training?
I will send you all the dates. We haven't announced it to the actual poll workers yet, but we do
Okay.
have dates solidified. And maybe 1 or 2, we have to make sure we have our location secured, but we definitely have our dates in place.
Okay, that's great. And on your next one, on the cases that you and Attorney Stow, did I say that right?
It's Dow.
Stow, you had to go up to the Capitol, and you had 2 or 3, maybe 4 cases, and I think 2 were continued.
Well, so we've been twice since we last met, since this board last met. We went in December and we went in January, just last week. In December, there were 4
Yes.
4 cases. Does that include the case that was tabled?
Yes, 2 were dismissed, and 1 was a reprimand for Ms. Kathy, and then
Okay.
continued.
Okay. Yeah, so there were, several of these were old, in the ones that we heard in December from 2021, 2022, so under a previous elections director. I believe that they dismissed 2 of them.
Correct.
Which
and-
ones were they, please?
Ooh, I'm not sure.
Was one the
I don't wanna
absentee
go-
ballot
I
that
don't
the
wanna-
journalist?
No, that one was continued. There were some issues in the report that we brought up, because the report identified the county as a respondent and said that we were in violation. And the reason given was that I think the investigator was confused and thought that this occurred at a polling place, and it happened at the elections office. So I brought that up before the board, and their response to that was to continue it to allow the Secretary of State's office to revise their report. And that was brought back in January, so last week. So we went before them again and we explained everything again, and they dismissed the county, but issued a letter of reprimand against the reporter.
I was thinking there were 2 that were carried over to February.
There was another one that we were not a respondent on, where
Campaign literature.
Yes, the campaign literature, someone was passing out cards
Yep.
at the polling place. That was continued before the meeting even started in December. That was heard last week as well.
I thought they continued it to
They
February.
did continue it. I think they want to find out who issued the cards.
Yeah.
I think that's what they want to know.
Okay.
But
And-
we're not a respondent on that one, so.
But do you not have to,
We're given notice, and we're able to be there and be heard if we want to. They never asked, we didn't speak on that because they never asked if anybody from the county was there. The respondent was the individual who passed out the card, and it may now be beyond that. It may be the organization that supplied the cards.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
With that, anything else, Director Garrett?
I think so. As far as the public comment, the voter identification card, we just so happened to talk about that yesterday. I didn't know that it wasn't working. I do know that it is extremely old and outdated, and you might have to hit it 3 times, knock on the side, and pat it softly to get it to work. But I wasn't under the impression that it was completely out because we do rarely use it, and we have used it once in May will be 2 years for me. So I have seen it be used once from a laptop. But we were just talking about actually ordering new equipment, and even the day when IT came up, the computer is on, it's time for an upgrade. So I will look into that to follow up on the public comment. Also, when we do our advertising for anything, and I know I said it earlier, but I just want to be clear that we send out notices, it has to go into legal Oregon by law for those changes. They have to receive the notices by law, and we put it on our website and social media as well. But lastly, for public comment, I plan to put our advanced voting decision recommendation on our March board meeting, but I think it might be wise to go ahead and do it in February because the people want that information so that they can start disseminating it out to the public as well. And that'll give them the opportunity to start advertising. So I'll put that on the next meeting. I gotta make sure we secure our spots too. That concludes my director's report, unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Director Garrett. I guess that can bring us on to our next item, the board member reports themselves. I would recognize you, Mr. Morris Kelly, if you had anything to say.
Well, I have good news and bad news. The bad news is I have presented my resignation as of February the 1st from the board. It's been an eye-opener for me, and it's been a pleasure serving with these people and with Brianna. But it's strictly for personal considerations that I'm having to do this. And I regret it, but it's something I need to do. And I thank everyone for their patience with me and all the questions I've answered. But I hope you move forward, and I'll be praying for the next election. And I know it'll go well, fair, and complete. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Just a quick note, we spoke a little bit before the meeting, but I just want to reiterate publicly, like, it has been a joy getting to know you, it's been a joy getting to work with you, and I understand completely this is a huge responsibility, and, you know, what do they say? Life is what happens when you're busy making plans.
That's right.
So thank you for your service, thank you for stepping up, and I can't wait to see, what you do next, and wish all the best to you and yours.
Thank you.
Board member report for you, Vice Chair Alexander.
Yeah, there hasn't been much happened on our front here because we actually had December off. We didn't have any elections. Hallelujah. So it's been kind of quiet. Of course, now we're into the new year, and we're starting off with a bang with our proposals and trying to work on precincts and getting ready. We know this year will be a busy year. Midterms is going to be tough, and we had more work last year than we thought, but this year is going to be really exciting. So I would like to say thank you, Morris. We all have to do what we have to do personally, and so I appreciate the opportunity to work. It's been great working with everybody, and wish you well. And I don't have anything else to report.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair Alexander. Initially, I just want to say one thing. One of our top staff members that we've had for quite a while is moving on, of course, Margaret Johnson, who has done great work and supported our voters and our responsibilities with integrity and passion. While we're sad to see her go, we really do wish her all the best. And on that note, we are always growing. We're always trying to get better. And with the addition of Malcolm now to our team, very glad to have you. Welcome to the the Super Bowl. Welcome to the football games. This is a lot of pressure and a lot of responsibility. And I know you're drinking from the fire hose, but we're really, really glad to have you and glad to welcome you to this little family that we've got. On the state election board cases, as Patrick said, we had a December hearing where we had a good number of cases, and then the 21st of January there was another state election board meeting. I think that time it was not in Atlanta. It was a little bit of a hike somewhere else. So dealing with all those cases, I just really want to give all the respect and kudos to our staff and county attorney for bringing all these cases to favorable outcomes. Nobody wants to be dragged before the state election board for any reason. Again, a number of these cases were old, but it's not our problem, but it is our responsibility. So stepping up to the plate and solving all these cases and working with the state election board, even to fix up a report that was produced at the state level, by the SOS. The only reason that we can have these favorable outcomes is because they are working, our staff and our county attorney are working so hard to maintain the relationships and be able to even have that conversation. So thank you so much for protecting our voters and protecting, our county and working with the state election board on all those cases. Just a couple of the concerns that were brought up in public comment. I know Director Garrett addressed a number of them about how do we, get the notice out to the public as far as location changes, as far as really anything. Of course, the legal notice, social media pages, being on top of our website and all that. I would say one thing that was mentioned that I think we on the board are really proud of is how we try and make sure that voters have as much access to the polls as possible. The 2024 election was a historic election as far as Fayette County is concerned because in November we had Sunday voting offered for the first time in Fayette County's history. We as a board unanimously approved that plan in order to make sure that our voters have great access to the polls, especially for any of our religious voters, right? It's pretty convenient to go to a church service and then roll on by the polling place right after. So making sure that we offer that convenience to voters is top of mind. And so I'm sure that we will look at that in the proposal going forward. As Director Garrett just said, trying to get that timeline squared away earlier rather than later, definitely a good thing. And I would bet that we'd probably be look to maintain a lot of the success that we've had in the past as far as Sunday voting or our hours, of course balancing the burden on staff shoulders as well as the voter convenience. So with that, I'll say thank you again, Margaret, for your service. Welcome, Malcolm, to the team. And thanks to our staff for keeping us protected and safe. As far as anything else, I don't have anything else. I do want to just mention one thing about the Town of Tyrone renovation. Just one brief thing from the director's report. This Town of Tyrone has advised that the renovations for our new voting precinct have been delayed. Unfortunately, that's true of a lot of projects across a lot of different areas. And as a result, we do have to maintain our conduct of elections there at the town hall. Of course, the dates and advanced voting periods have been provided. We're working through all of them in order to ensure maximum flexibility and minimum confusion. And any municipal officials there in Tyrone are aware of the increased presence of voters as far as this election cycle is concerned. And they have been really, really strong partners to make sure that public safety is maintained and voter access is maintained as well. So hopefully, and we anticipate those renovations will be done by November next year, or excuse me, November of this year. It's a new year, isn't it? November of this year. so that way we can have everything squared away for the general election in November. So with that, just wanted to get that one little update out of the way, and with that, I don't have anything else. I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion, we don't need a second for that one, but always welcome it. Motion has been made for adjournment. All in favor signify by saying aye. If there's no further discussion, which I don't see, okay. All in
Aye.
favor signify by saying aye.